And what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Inland Sports Show. I'm your host, Pep Fernandez. We appreciate you tuning in here on a Wednesday night. It's a great time of the year, championship time for our spring sports. Also starting to look ahead to the next football season. There's a lot going on here in the Inland Empire. We appreciate you tuning in to get up to date. If you're watching this video and this show right now, and I know you are, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not done so already. A lot of stuff only appears on the show, and sometimes we put stuff on social media that does not fall on the show, so it's good to watch the show and follow us on social media so you get the best of both worlds. So, all right, so here's the deal. Coming up in our second segment, we're going to hear from the new baseball skipper at JW North, but he's not new at all. Steve Madril running it back at third in Chicago with the Huskies. He won a 2011 CIF Southern Section Division I championship on the baseball diamond at JW North, and now he's back to do it again at JW North. We're going to hear from him. We're also going to hear from the new women's basketball coach at Cal State San Bernardino. He's an Inland Empire guy, Dario Frias, coming back home for his dream job, former assistant at CSUSB, and now he gets the head job on the women's basketball team. And we're going to hear in a moment from Alexander Mattison, too, our guy, NFL running back, trying to find a new NFL home. Where will he end up? Will he tell us on this show? You're about to find out in just a moment. We're going to start off with the Ken Hubbs Awards. Now, the Ken Hubbs Award goes to the top boys and girls athletes in basically San Bernardino County. It goes about west, as far west as the 15 freeway. I think the Fontana schools are about as far west as it goes, and then Beaumont to the east. And even though it's technically Riverside County over there, but that's basically along the 10 freeway right there. And it's one of the most prestigious awards we have in this area. So many big names have won this, like Alexander Mattison, who we're going to hear from just in a moment, and Jaden Daniels and guys like that. So they just had their big award ceremony at Indian Springs High School. Each of the schools in the Ken Hubbs area has a boys and girls representative, and it's a big deal just to be selected by your own school to be your top boy or girl athlete. But then to be the overall winner, that is a massive deal as well. So let's take you out to the Ken Hubbs Awards and hear the announcements and hear from both of the winners on the boys and the girls side.
Inland Sports.
Please join me. Give a big round of applause, big, huge round of applause to the 2026 Ken Hubbs overall girls winner, Monse Matute of Citrus Valley High School.
Just such an honor to be named with all these other previous winners that have just made such a huge impact in each of their sports. It's just an honor. I was just so surprised and just so honored because all these previous girls are so amazing that have won before me. It means a lot. My family has sacrificed so much for me and I'm so grateful for them.
Please do not do an 8 clap, that's UCLA, but join me in honoring the recipient of the 2026 Ken Hubbs overall boys winner, Taylor Johnson of Cajon High School.
All right, we're here with Taylor Johnson, the Ken Hubbs overall winner, USC football player. Cajon. Oh, there's the hardware, Taylor. I mean, what was it like when you heard your name called as the overall winner?
Man, it was a blessing. All the hard work I didn't put in. This is one of the greatest awards that a high school athlete can receive. So, thank you to the Ken Hubbs.
Man, all of the big names from San Bernardino that have won that award, guys who have gone on to the NFL, big local names. Now your name is on that list with those guys. What does that mean to you?
Man, coming from San Bernardino, it's a childhood dream for a young kid that really didn't have much. But let's go, fight on.
And speaking of fight on, how's it going at USC? We know you're already with the Trojans going through spring football. How's it been going at SC so far?
It's been amazing. The team looked great. Coach Riley put together a great organization. So we're coming for that natty.
All right, and finally, you got the Ken Hubs Award right there holding it. Anyone you'd like to thank for receiving this award?
Yeah, I definitely want to give a big shout out to my mom, my dad, my family, everyone who supported me through this journey, through high school, now into college.
All right, that's Taylor Johnson from Cajon High School, your Ken Hubs overall winner. Congratulations, Taylor.
Thank you.
Inland Sports.
All right, congratulations to Taylor Johnson, Cajon football star, now at USC, already enrolled and going through spring football with the Trojans. And Monse Matute from Citrus Valley softball, she will be taking her talents to UCLA. Congratulations to both of them, the Ken Hubs overall winners. We're going to have more on the Ken Hubs Awards, just even more coming up on Sports Weekly on IEMG on the next episode. We're also going to have more with Alexander Mattison. Now, we caught up with Alex to talk about NFL football, but really what he was promoting on Tuesday night out at the 66ers baseball game was mental health. It was Mental Health Awareness Night out there at San Manuel Stadium. And if you know Alex, he has done so much time after time to give back to his hometown of San Bernardino and the local community here in the Inland Empire. And he has been a strong advocate for mental health awareness, and that has not changed. He's done a lot for that. So we're going to talk a lot more about his I Am Gifted Foundation and what they're doing to promote mental health awareness, the resources, the services to make sure that you don't feel alone. Just another reason that we love Alex so much, man. He really gets behind something and not just talk, action. And Alex is doing it. So we're going to talk a lot more about that on the next Sports Weekly with Alex. But since we were talking about, we're talking with him about mental health awareness, we had to ask him how he was feeling. Remember, he signed with the Miami Dolphins last offseason. In that first preseason game, he had just scored a touchdown in his first preseason game with the Fins, and then he had that severe injury, a neck injury, and sidelined him for the entire season. Well, the good news is Alex says he is 100%. It's a full green light. He is ready to go. He's still currently a free agent out there in the NFL market, but he says he's going to have his new team very, very soon. Here's Alexander Mattison.
Inland Sports.
I'm currently free agent. I'm feeling amazing though. I'm back to it. I'm back in action. I got the green light to get after it. So we'll be knowing soon. There's a little bit of motion, and we're gonna keep praying on it. But we'll have a new home soon, in Jesus' name. So we're gonna just keep going, keep grinding, and I know that there's doors that God is cracking open for me, and I'm going to make sure that I'm ready for the opportunity and ready for my new home coming up soon.
Inland Sports.
All right, always love checking in with Alex. Can't wait to see where he ends up in the NFL. And again, big advocate for mental health awareness. We'll have more with Alex on the next Sports Weekly. All right, now let's get to, the other big story headline this week is the CIF Southern Section baseball and softball playoffs. We are charging hard into the quarterfinal round. And going into this week, our Ken Sporting Goods must-see game, it was two Big 8 league rivals. Corona taking on Santiago. And man, the whole season was on the line for both of these teams. The winner would move on to the Division I quarterfinals. The losers' season, they would be done for the year. So we knew not only were they Big 8 league rivals, two of the top teams in all of the Southern Section, but again, so much on the line going into this game in this new Division I format. Pool play was over. You get a couple guaranteed games in the Division I playoffs with this new pool play, but the winner of this one would move on to the quarterfinals, and it would be the Corona Panthers. Here's the final out of the ball game as Corona wins by a final score of 6-1. So that means the Panthers move on, and in the quarterfinals, they will play on the road at Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks. And our other local team in Division I, also from the Big 8 League, Norco. Norco will play on the road at Orange Lutheran, man. So some big-time baseball games coming up. And in the Division I quarterfinals, best of luck to the Panthers and the Cougars. If they're on the same side of the bracket, so they would play each other in the semifinals if they both won in the quarters in Division I. But the Panthers beating Santiago 6-1 in our Kin Sporting Goods must-see game this week. Man, it was a good one. Now to the softball diamond. Speaking of Norco, we had a massive softball game this past Saturday. It was Norco taking on Riverside Poly in the second round in Division I.
Inland Sports.
It's our Bass Athletics play of the week because it was an absolute battle for the first 5 innings. It was tied at 2, top of the 5th, and the Cougars finally break through. Isabella Ray coming with a clutch 2-run base hit there to give Norco the lead. It was 4-2 at that point. Norco would tack on 6 unanswered runs in the final couple of innings to beat Riverside Poly by a final score of 8-2. So Norco advances in the Division I playoffs. But it was that big hit by Isabella Ray to kind of break things open in a very tight ball game on the road against the Poly Bears. So big win for the defending CIF Southern Section Division I champions, our Bass Athletics play of the week. And if you want more Norco versus Riverside Poly softball, you can head on over right now to the YouTube channel when the show's done. If you're watching us live, after the show, you can check out more bonus highlights from Norco and Riverside Poly. A lot more strikeouts from Cora Williams, who was dealing. Cora Williams and Peyton May, what a 1-2 punch in the circle for Norco. But you can check out more Ks, more highlights from this one right now on our Inland Sports Show YouTube channel. So go give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. We got some Poly highlights in there too. Poly played a great game. Just Norco kind of broke it open in those final couple of innings. All right, and finally, in this segment, we just want to give a shout-out to a CIF Southern Section golf champion. How about Cajon? How about them Cowboys? The Cowboys bringing home the CIF Southern Section Division 7 championship. Congratulations to Coach Eric Jordan and the Cowboys. I've actually reached out with him, trying to get an interview with him soon, so you might hear from him on our next Sports Weekly, but that's pretty cool. Cajon bringing home a boys golf championship in D7. All right, when we come back here on this edition of the Inland Sports Show, we're going to turn back the clock. We're going to talk about the 2011 JW North baseball team that won a CIF Southern Section Division I championship, as Steve Madril is back at 3rd and Chicago. So Coach Madril coming up next here on the Inland Sports Show right after this.
The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kin Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Bass Athletics in Corona, driven by passion and hard work, Bass Athletics helps student athletes push their limits, compete with heart, and build the discipline to succeed in sports, school, and life. Visit bassathletics.com. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands with Dr. Marcus Paulson. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist that you can trust. And Chick-fil-A in Yucaipa, right off the 10 freeway at Yucaipa Boulevard. Eat more chicken.
You can give one piece of advice to young athletes, what would it be?
Take your academics just as serious as you take, even more serious than you take your athletic development. Learn different skills. Don't just train all day, learn to play the piano, learn an instrument, have some hobbies, invest in rest. It's all about being well balanced. And I think a lot of times student athletes, they don't realize how acquiring other skills translate to sports and what they want to do. It all adds up. Being someone that takes care of their responsibilities, takes care of business, it's all the same skill set. So build some other skill sets, make sure you get your rest.
All right, welcome back to the Inland Sports Show, everybody. My name is Pep Fernandez. We appreciate you tuning in. Next up, we're going to talk more high school baseball. We talked about Corona and Norco, still alive in the CIF Southern Section Division I playoffs, the quarterfinal round. Well, let's turn back the clock to 2011. Man, way back in the day, JW North winning the Division I championship ball game out there at Dodger Stadium. And the skipper on that JW North team was the Riv's own Steve Madril. And he was at North for a while, then went over to King. Then he stepped down, at least from the varsity level, a head coach at the varsity level for about 4 years, hanging out with his family, coaching youth baseball, which he said was an eye-opening experience. But he's running it back at JW North. Steve Madril is back at North, and we had a chance to catch up with the Mr. Keeperiv.
Inland Sports.
And now join us here on the Inland Sports Show. He is back. Steve Madril, the head coach again for JW North Baseball. And Coach, listen, man, I know you enjoy just being a husband and a father and seeing your daughter and your sons run around and play sports and doing all that stuff, but you're coming back as a head coach. Why North? Why now, Coach?
You know what? I think right now it's a good time. The timing's right as far as like my daughter. She's a runner. She runs cross country track at Riverside Poly, and she's moving on to run next year at UC Riverside. And I have a son who's in high school, and then I have a little guy, Carlos. And it's about time for me to get back in the game, just for them to be around the environment. As far as coaching and the games, and growing their love for the game. So it's a good time. I've been wanting to get back in, the last couple of years, just kind of seeing what's out there. And then, when the opportunity came up, a couple of days ago, it was just the right time. It was the right fit.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. When you left North to go to King, Coach Nochi stepped in for you, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so John Nochi took over and did a great job here at North. He's a good friend of mine, a tremendous coach. So North has been in really good hands for the last, 9-10 years. I think it's been since that move up to King. So yeah, Nochi has done a great job.
Yeah, so it was you, Nochi, and then back to you. So, yeah, Coach, listen, you had an incredible run with JW North. Of course, the Division I championship in 2011. So, when you look back at your first stint at Third in Chicago, what are some of the things that you still think about, like, during that championship run? And what do you feel like is the hallmark of a championship team? Like, what do you want to get the program back to, where you feel like, hey, not only are we competitive, where we're at right now, but how do we get the program back to, playing Corona and some of these teams in the D1 playoffs?
You know what? I remember when I took over back in 2007, the program, I think, was a little similar to kind of how it is now. And really, we just did it by, grinding our teeth every single day at practice. very, very few days off, during the week. Being organized and structured with our time, just trying to be efficient with what we're doing at the field. Scheduling, things like that, trying to get ourselves battle tested in the fall, trying to figure out what we're going to do as far as personnel decisions. And then going into the spring, same kind of thing, just playing, trying to figure out a good schedule for us, playing the best, and just growing, kind of learning, try by error. And then, it's going to take some time, but, we're excited for it. We're ready for the challenge. And so nothing's really going to change as far as how we ran the program back, in our North days. Nothing's going to change very much as far as how we ran the program, up at King. But now, maybe 4 years out of the game, maybe my mindset has changed a little bit as far as how to manage a program. For 4 years, you have the chance to really reflect on some of the things that you did really good, and you want to improve on those, and then look at the things that you did really bad, and then try and fix those. 4 years later, here I am, going to try and hit the ground running here with the Huskies and see what we can do to show it on the field.
So, Coach, I think you kind of mentioned it. Your sports cup was running over with your daughter and your sons playing sports. So I'm sure you had tons of sports in your life, but the last couple of years, you said you kind of had the itch though? Like you were kind of looking around and if I came back, where would I go? Would this be a good opportunity? So you kind of missed it, I suppose, even though you still had a lot of sports in your personal life, but being the head coach of a program, it sounds like.
Yeah. You know what? I people have asked me that a lot the last week or so. So I think my first year out at King, I just needed the break. My own kids were they had a bunch of activities. I was a player for even longer than I was a coach. So in my 16 years as being a head coach, I didn't want my family to sacrifice and me miss out on their things because I wanted to continue being around the game. So I was okay with taking a break. And that first year out, I needed it. There's a lot of things that happen, the ups and downs of being a head coach, the travel, the time away from your family. So my first year out was okay being, away. My second year, I think I started to miss it just a little bit. And then, for the last 2 years, I kind of was like, all right, maybe I will, maybe there's a chance something opens up, but nothing really had opened up here in our area in the city. I considered maybe going outside of the district, things like that, but it probably wasn't something I really wanted to do at the time. So I really just kind of was just waiting and being patient. So it's to answer your question, my kids have been super busy and I didn't want to miss their stuff. So it's been really nice being dad taxi, sports taxi, going to club soccer and, in 10U travel baseball and cross country and track events. And I haven't missed any of it. It's been great. I know many coaches could say how many things they missed out on as their kids were growing up, and I just didn't want to miss that. And it's been a blessing. It's been fun, but now I think I'm ready to get back in, and the timing is right.
Wait, hold on. You are Mr. Riverside. There's no way you would look outside the district. Come on, Coach. Tell me that's not true.
Well, Riverside's a big city, so there's some other schools out there that I was looking at, kind of outside looking in, but it was just tough. And then when North happened, obviously with our past here, it's been nice to get back.
Well, a lot of coaches watch the Inland Sports Show, and I think they can sympathize with this, that, becoming a head coach of a program, regardless of the sport, I mean, it's a big commitment. So obviously this is probably a family decision. I mean, at least in my household, I run it up the flagpole to the boss and, my wife, and what do you think? I mean, this is what it means. I'm going to be gone, at nights or on weekends, or this is, every day after school, I'm going to be gone for this many hours. So, what was that conversation like maybe with your wife? And was she like, hey, Steve, go. I know you miss it. Go have fun.
Yeah. So I think she kind of got the idea. She got that feeling, she was a player's girlfriend for a really long time, and she was a player's, coach's wife for a really long time too. So I think she kind of got the idea. I never really got away from the game. I started a little youth travel ball organization, a free travel organization here in Riverside called Rep Riv. And, so I was always coaching. It was just younger kids. It was my own kids. So I think she kind of knew when I asked her about it, a couple of years ago, she was all in. She gets it. So she was super supportive. And you're right. without her support, there's no way I would be sitting here talking to you about coming back to North.
All right, so I want to ask you about your Rep Riv kids. I mean, the little kids, I guess you're teaching them the basics still at that age, right? But when you get high school kids, 15, 16, 17 years old, maybe you can get a little more, detailed and situational. I mean, what was it like? I'm sure there's good and bad with both. I mean, but what did you enjoy about, coaching up little kids compared to, some high school varsity players?
Yeah, so right out of coaching at King, I immediately took over a 7U rec ball team here at Orange Crest Pony. So I went from coaching games against Corona and Norco to being on a 7U game. So definitely eye-opening. I coached my little guys all-star team at 7U, and yeah, a very, very interesting experience as far as coaching 7-year-olds and things like that and managing all parts of that. But yeah, so I look back and maybe some of the things that I took for granted back when I was a head coach at King and even at North, and little things like catch play and some stuff that you might let slide when you're coaching older kids, you don't necessarily let slide when you're working with younger kids. So not that I was ever a great coach, but I think now in my second stint back at North, I can take a lot of what I saw the last 4 years of being, an 8U coach, 9U, now 10U and 12U, 13U kids, and really incorporate that into what we're doing here at North, because those little details matter. So I think, maybe I learned a couple of things, in my time away that hopefully I can improve on here my next time around.
And Coach, finally, I think you already mentioned it, but what's on your to-do list right now? I know the baseball season right now is just actually wrapping up, so you've got like a full year to ramp up for next year. But you mentioned fall ball. I don't know how much you guys will do during the summer or if anything, but what's on your to-do list right now as you get ready for next season?
Yeah, I think right now we're just trying to make sure that we get our coaches' schedule solidified, see how much we can get out on the field every single day. I've already set up plans for our summer camp, our incoming freshman camp. Got a couple fall games on our schedule. Yeah, the spring's tough. Obviously, it's a year from now, and there's a lot of teams still playing. But yeah, in fact, we're going to have our first practice today. Because I'm already on campus, it's nice that I think we're going to be able to hit the ground running. So we're going to get out to the field today. We're going to, run around, throw it around a little bit, and see what we can do to start getting the ball rolling for next year already.
Man, here we go. It's going down at 3rd in Chicago with Coach Steve Madril back as the head coach of the Huskies. Coach, congrats on the return to JW North, and excited to see what the Huskies are going to do next year.
Absolutely. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. That is Steve Madril, the head coach for JW North Baseball here on the Inland Sports Show.
Inland Sports.
There he is, Steve Madril. And going into the interview, I think I said keep Riv. It's Rep Riv with Coach Madril. But awesome to see him back at JW North. Just good to see him back as a head coach here at the high school level in Riverside, but especially at JW North. Very cool there. All right, we're going to take another quick commercial break here on the Inland Sports Show. When we come back, we're going to check in with the new women's basketball coach at Cal State San Bernardino, Dario Frias. He's a Supa-Dupa Harupa Valley guy, Inland Empire guy, and a former assistant at Cal State, and now he's back to take over the Yotes program. So Dario Frias next here on the Inland Sports Show right after this.
The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kin Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Bass Athletics in Corona, driven by passion and hard work, Bass Athletics helps student athletes push their limits, compete with heart, and build the discipline to succeed in sports, school, and life. Visit bassathletics.com. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands with Dr. Marcus Paulson. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist that you can trust. And Chick-fil-A in Yucaipa, right off the 10 freeway at Yucaipa Boulevard. Eat more chicken.
Fact versus fiction. Youth athletes need sport-specific training in order to develop speed, agility, and strength. The fiction is that you see all of these kids doing sport-specific strength and conditioning, doing exercises they can't quite handle yet, and they don't need to, because all they need to do is get stronger, build core strength, learn how to jump and land, learn how to run, learning how to squat, learning how to press. Those skills are foundational for most sports. It doesn't need to be sport-specific quite yet.
Sports.
NBA playoffs. The Western Conference Finals is set. It's going to be Oklahoma City Thunder against the San Antonio Spurs. We all saw the writing on the wall. They have been on a collision course all season long. We're going to finally get that in the West. And then in the East, a little bit of surprise. The 3-seeded Knicks maybe playing the best basketball of anybody in the East, taking on the 4th-seeded Cavaliers, who took out number 1 Detroit on their home floor last night in a Game 7. So those are your Final 4 in the NBA, Patrick.
Give it up for Spider-Man and Cleveland, the first time they do it without LeBron. They deserve a lot of credit. We knew they were a good team, but darn it, I think a lot of people thought Detroit was going to win, and here come the Cavs. Yeah, they have a tall order. Nevertheless, I give them credit.
Yeah, the Knicks are probably the best team in the East, or at least playing the best basketball in the East. But Cleveland's very hot and cold. When they're bad, they're pretty bad. They have a hard time beating teams. But when they're good, I mean, they just beat number 1 Detroit in a Game 7. You think, if anything, the Pistons would show up with the game on the line on their home floor, and they did it. In fact, Cleveland won by like 30. They blew them out.
Yeah, and I know it's a long journey from now, and it's probably not going to happen, but it is kind of funny to wonder if some of those people on that team were to win an NBA championship. It would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, how would LeBron? I guess LeBron would be happy for Cleveland, right? I don't know. Maybe some sour grapes in there. And shout out again to the Ducks, man. Great year. Gave Anaheim and Orange County something to cheer about, because it's certainly not the Angels as we transition to the Freeway Series. Dodgers versus Angels. 3 games at the Big A, and the Dodgers come away with the sweep, and they outscored. I don't know how the numbers in front of me, but it wasn't even close, man. The Dodgers outscored the Angels by something ridiculous. So tough times right now for the Halos.
Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds like a familiar old song. The Seattle in me was laughing with one of my friends who's an Angels fan, and it's like, you do have that thing. Until I won my second Super Bowl, I used to say the same thing. It's like, at least we have the one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least they do have the one, but nevertheless, it's tough, man.
Living in the past, right? What is that, 23, 24 years ago? Like that. Yeah. I feel like that was a lifetime ago when the Angels won a World Series. They are just, I mean, they did enough in the month of April. You're like, okay, yeah, maybe American League West is kind of watered down. It's like a diet version of the AL West this year. No, dude. After 30 days, we're like, okay, back to the Angels. This is what they're doing.
Inland Sports.
All right, welcome back to the show. That was me hanging out with my boy Patrick in the morning on KCAL 96.7 FM every Monday and Thursday morning talking sports. All right, now we're talking college basketball. Dario Frias is back at Cal State San Bernardino as the head coach for the women's basketball team. He was an assistant with the Yotes about a decade ago, but now he is back for his dream job. He was an assistant at Cal State, an assistant at Cal State San Marcos, and also UC Santa Barbara. But he said there was one job out there that would bring him back home to the Inland Empire, and that was Cal State San Bernardino. Here's our interview with Coach Dario Frias on the Inland Sports Show.
Inland Sports.
And now join us here on the show. He is the new head coach for Cal State San Bernardino women's basketball, Dario Frias. And Coach, congrats. You are back with the Yotes, man. Former assistant, 10 years down the road, you are back at Cal State. So what was it about this opening at Cal State San Bernardino that you were like, man, this is the perfect spot at the right time. I want to get in there and see what I can do with this women's basketball program.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thanks for having me, man. It's a full circle moment. You know what I mean? Being from the IE, graduated at Hoopa Valley High School, coached at Hoopa Valley, coached at Laverne, and it first started for me. I graduated from Cal State San Bernardino, so Cal State San Bernardino provided me as a first generation college student, provided me the dream to think big. You know what I mean? One of the things here at San Bernardino, they talk about we define the future, and they pretty much did that for me. You know what I'm saying? And when I started coaching here, my first tenure here, I was a volunteer assistant coach. You know, I had a wife and I believe at that time 2 boys, 2 kids, and I was a resident substitute teacher at Rubidoux High School. And then I would come here to San Bern as a volunteer coach, and I was coaching under an amazing head coach, and Renee Jimenez, who's coached with Tara Vanderveer at Stanford, Beth Burns, who's the associate head coach at USC, and I got to see what a championship program is like and how you build a championship program. And we changed the program here. After we inherited a team at San Bern, and then the following year we flipped it around. We went 19-9. We had the best start in school history, and my head coach ended up leaving to San Marcos, but I got to see firsthand, like, man, the resources are here at San Bern. I graduated from here. I'm from here. So I was super excited when this opportunity opened up. I couldn't pass it up. You know what I mean? I live right around the corner pretty much from San Bern. The resources are here. Our athletic director, Sharif, he's been amazing. He's allowed us to build a championship program here, and the pieces are here. So, we're all about here. We're all about degrees and championships. You know what I mean? I'm super excited to be here, being an alumni here, and to have the opportunity to bring some hardware here, bring some banners, and to give these student athletes, this community, and this city of San Bernardino, a taste of what it feels like to get to the NCAA tournament. And we've done that. We've done that at the places that I've been at. So I'm super excited to bring back some winning here at Cal State San Bernardino.
All right, so you were an assistant at Cal State about 10 years ago. Then you had that long run at Cal State San Marcos. And then most recently, you were at UC Santa Barbara, right? So you're at the Division I level. So you've been a lot of different places. You've seen a lot of basketball. So what do you feel like? I don't want to go too far in the weeds, but what do you feel like is the hallmarks of a championship team? What does a championship team have to do well?
You got to be able to connect. You got to be able to connect with your players. We're in a different time right now with NIL, the landscape of NIL. A lot of the old school coaches are getting out of it because, it's become transactional. And we're really holding on to the connection and building great relationships and making our student athletes know, hey, you want to be at a place that you're going to be well taken care of. The culture is going to be right. You're going to have fun doing it. And that's what we've done. That's been the secret sauce. My head coach, Renee Jimenez at Cal State San Marcos, even at UC Santa Barbara, nothing's changed. It's all been about family. It's about really, truly caring for our student athletes here. We talk a little bit about basketball, but we talk about your character, and that is the success of what we've been able to provide at Cal State San Marcos. You got to understand, I was there for 9 years, I want to say. The first 3 years we were on a probationary period because they were transitioning from NAIA to Division II. So their probationary period means you couldn't qualify for any NCAA tournament, conference tournament. So after that was done, we went 4 straight championships, and all of that was like, and if you look at the retention rate during that time, maybe 1 kid left, and that was because we had to dismiss the player on our behalf, So the retention was there. And then we go to UC Santa Barbara, and nothing's changed. We inherited a very good culture of kids, and then we added our secret, our type of kid, high academic kid, a kid that wants to work, a kid that values winning. Maybe they have a little chip on their shoulder as well. And first year we won 18 games at Santa Barbara, And then last year we had the best start in school history, and we ended up winning 20 games, And what we've been able to do for this upcoming year, we signed the 55th player in the country. We signed the 91st player in the country. Right before we left, we signed a 6'6" transfer from UW. And then we brought in a high academic kid, a stud from UC Irvine. And next year, UC Santa Barbara, fingers crossed. I'm hoping they could win a Big West championship before they move over to the West Coast Conference and stuff. But a lot of it is just truly caring for your student athletes and believing in them, And even then the retention was high and stuff. So I think that's the secret to it all, is really valuing who you have and making sure that you teach them how to respect others, right? I've been here, maybe this is my first week, and I've had some great player meetings with our San Bern kids, and they're super excited. They're super excited for what's to come. And a lot of it's been little about basketball, but it's been all about family. And one of the things I want to bring over is, our values of family, hard work, and accountability. So if they can buy into that, we're going to have a lot of success. Yeah.
Coach, coaching basketball obviously is a grind, especially at the college level. You're responsible for so much. It involves a lot of traveling. So to be back home and to be at Cal State San Bernardino, what does that mean to you personally? Because I know you've got a family, you've got kids playing sports. I mean, to be home, to not be in San Marcos, to not be in Santa Barbara, to be back in the IAE, to be at Cal State, what does that mean to you personally?
It means everything, Like, you got to understand, like, especially this university being, 70% Hispanic, there's not a lot of me being a Mexican American coaching at the D2 level, let alone Division I. You know what I'm saying? So for me to be able to have the opportunity, Dr. Paz here, the VP here on the campus, and Sharif to give me that opportunity to be able to like break barriers and be able to help, our coaches to be able to break through, like, hey, Coach Dario, like, he's doing it. Like, we can do it, And you got to be able to do it the right way. And I never moved my family out of the IE. We're rooted in here. I did the drive to San Marcos. I did the drive to Santa Barbara. But, like, those are the standards and expectations that it takes to, like, win championships, And I didn't want to leave my family, So I hope my players here and the people around us, like, understand that, Like, wear your gear with pride and understand who you represent, and then now we get to do it here. Now at all of our games, my family would try to travel to Santa Barbara when they could to watch, the teams play. And even when we were at Cal State San Marcos, when we flew out to St. Joseph, Missouri for the Elite Eight, we got to travel our families with us, and they got to see, us winning, going to the Final Four game. And but now they get to come to every game here, because they're 10, 15 minutes. You know what I mean? That's super exciting. My parents are still alive, and my in-laws are still there, and they all get to come watch, at this beautiful Casulas arena. Like, there's no arena like it in Division II basketball. It's a Division I arena. You know what I mean? So it's my job to be able to get this community excited, pumped up, fired up, and to be able to come here. We have NIL opportunities for our student athletes. Like, we have an NIL store, right? Where what I want is our community, our young women, from the elementary schools to be able to come to a game and wear, our players' uniforms that they can purchase, you know what I mean? So just a lot of things I'm super excited to be able to do and to involve not just the San Bernardino community, but like the Riverside community, you know what I mean? Like, we're all one together, you know what I mean? So I'm super excited just to be back home and have my family here and my family and friends, and you got former players and, people that, that have mentored me and the likes of like Jeff Gorham, he's Mr. Riverside, my head coach, Mark Guard, who people don't know, like, he coached, Reggie Miller back in the day, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's a legend of the IE, and to finally get him to come watch a game where, I thank him for everything, because he's the one that gave me that itch to want to coach. You know what I mean? So he probably doesn't even know that, but it's the first time I'm probably saying
Coach, that was my next question is that, you're an IE guy, you played at Jurupa Valley. At what point or when did you know that coaching basketball was going to be in your future?
As a kid growing up, I grew up in La Puente, California, and my parents didn't have much, right? But we had a long driveway in the backyard, and my brother, our next door neighbor, which was our brother pretty much, and my mom would go out there and my dad, and we'll play some like basketball against, the rim was up against the garage, you know what I mean? Like the back door garage, whatever. And we would play. So that was the first time where I was like, oh, I love playing basketball. And I grew up a Bulls fan with Jordan. And then we ended up moving to Riverside when I was going into the 6th grade. And that burning desire, I remember in 6th grade, first day we played basketball on the blacktops, and I was the last one being picked. And I'm like, oh, this ain't happening. You know what I mean? So that burning drive of like competitive nature, and then I became the first one picked. And then I go to middle school, the same thing, the disrespect that they gave me, right? But so then I get to high school, and my older brother started playing for Mark Guard. And I got to learn from my brother because he had to teach himself everything. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have like trainers and all that stuff. It was just like, we would go to Riley's gym in Norco, right? We would go play in the adult leagues. We would go to, what is that place? The West Wind in Ontario. And we would play in adult leagues. And the Jeff Gorhams and the Mark Guards and all these guys would be out there playing. And so when I got to high school, Mark Guard already knew who I was. But then I got to see him, how he coached. And Mark Guard was Mr. Fundamental. He taught the basics, and that's all I knew. So when I started coaching, I think it was like my sophomore year, junior year, he's like, hey, help me coach the freshman kids. So I'll coach the freshman team. And then during the banquet, I got coach's award, and so kind of then I knew like coaching was probably in my gene and stuff. And then once I graduated, I needed money to get to college, and I wanted to coach for Mark Guard. Just didn't happen. So I jumped to the women's side because they had a stipend there for me to coach, to be able to coach and go to college, pay for my college education because we didn't have the money. And then that's why I started having a passion. I started falling in love with it. But I thought I was going to coach high school the whole time. I didn't know anything about college. And then all of a sudden, I was coaching club ball for one of the best. We were probably the best program in West Coast Premier in the country at that time. We had about like 4 WNBA players, and then people were like, hey, maybe you should coach college. And then I'm like, well, shoot, I can do this for a living, and it just kind of just blossomed that way, you know what I mean? But it just started when I was a kid, and then really got to the whole coaching side with Mark Guard, and I thank him a lot for all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, Coach, it sounds like this truly is a dream job here at Cal State for you. And so congratulations on the job with the Yotes, an IE guy, and he's back at Cal State San Bernardino. That's Dario Frias here on the show. Coach, congrats on the gig, and best of luck this upcoming season at Cal State San Bernardino.
Hey, and I appreciate it, man. And for all the people out there watching and listening, you do an amazing job. You've been around. Little do you know, even though I was driving, commuting, I'll be keeping an eye on your YouTube channels and listening to everything that's going on. And but hopefully, we can do more of this to get the community, the Riverside, the San Berns, get some people out to the game. I'm open. People want to come watch practices. I'll leave my information below, and then they can come out. I mean, it's open doors for everybody. Just want to get everybody involved, and just really appreciate the support, and super excited to be back. And hopefully we will bring some championships back here at Cal State San Bernardino. But thanks a lot. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. That is Cal State San Bernardino women's basketball coach Dario Frias here on the show.
Inland Sports.
All right, good to catch up with Coach Frias. Good luck with the Yotes this upcoming season, Coach. Big thanks to Coach Frias, Coach Madril, Alexander Mattison, and the Ken Hubs winners Appreciate you making time for the Inland Sports Show. If you've made it this far, give this video a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you follow us on social media as well. Mostly on Instagram and X, a little bit on Facebook as well. You can find some pictures and content that doesn't make the show, but there's a lot of stuff on the show that never makes it to social media. So you got to do both. We appreciate you guys following along. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Inland Sports Show. And if you're a local business, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to help us promote the positive stories here in the IE, shoot us an email, inlandsportshow@gmail.com, or you can just send us a message on social media. That works too. I'm Pep Fernandez. God bless you guys. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show. Good night.